fighting for the heart of Florida's environment.
The goal is to
restoring the water coming from the Everglades, honoring those who serve.
Is that for myself, at least when I speak for myself as a veteran,
with an extravagant show in the skies. The holidays have arrived.
Oh, it just feels better. I can't tell why.
One of Miami's holiday theme parks makes its annual appearance. And it's all about country music.
Down here at the Miami Marina, right next to the Miami Seaquarium.
As an inaugural festival hits big in South Florida. These stories and more coming up on Newsbreak.
I'm Valentina Gaspari. Today is Monday, November 13th, 2023.
Live from the Lee Caplin School of Journalism and Media in North Miami, this is Caplin News.
Breaking news coming from a flea market near Houston. This morning, a city in Texas wakes up mourning the loss of a child at the hands of a flea market shooting.
The shooting occurred at Kohl's Flea Market south of Houston at 5:34 p.m. Officials confirmed that 5 people were shot and injured. One was a child who later died in the hospital. The status of the other 4 is still unknown. The police say that there was an argument right before shots were fired, but have yet to find the suspect.
Republican South Carolina Senator Tim Scott surprised aides and donors when he announced yesterday the suspension of his presidential campaign. 2 sources close to the campaign.
Upon arrival, officers located 5 victims that had been shot. All 5 were transported to local area hospitals. At this time, I did not know the status of those victims. I can tell you it's 3 adults and 2 juveniles. I do not have any ages.
The police said that there was an argument right before shots were fired, but have yet to find the suspect.
Republican South Carolina Senator Tim Scott surprised aides and donors when he announced yesterday the suspension of his presidential campaign. 2 sources close to the campaign say they were not given advance notice. Scott was one of the 5 GOP hopefuls who participated in Miami's last Wednesday's debate. Official who supported said Scott provided an optimistic and hopeful message.
Former British Prime Minister David Cameron acquires a new title. He says that he has gladly accepted his new role, Foreign Secretary of the United Kingdom. This comes after the firing of hardline Home Secretary Suella Braverman on Monday. Cameron has been awarded Baruni, giving him a seat in the House of Lords and allowing him to work in government.
With the infrastructure of roads and buildings, the ecosystem of the Everglades is in danger. Caplin News reporter Sofia Bolivar has more on how to restore the water to its original state.
Did you know that your main source of water is in danger? The Florida Everglades provides 8 million Floridians with drinking water, but now due to expanding infrastructure, the flow of fresh water has been disrupted. Now it's time to reverse these mistakes.
The water from the Kissimmee River used to make its way all the way down to the Florida Bay. But due to the development of infrastructure such as roads and growing cities, there were many unintended disruptions.
So the Everglades Foundation has been working for 30 years to restore and protect America's Everglades through advocacy, science, and education.
The Everglades Restoration is the largest ecosystem restoration project in the world.
The goal is to restore as much as possible the flow of water, the historic flow of water.
Although infrastructure is what damaged the flow of water, government infrastructure such as reservoirs, canals, and stormwater treatment areas are being used to make sure clean water is getting to the south.
This is how the Everglades used to look. Water used to come from the Kissimmee into Lake Okeechobee, into the Everglades River of grass, and it would feed fresh water into Biscayne Bay and the Florida Bay. We built a dike around Lake Okeechobee. Water couldn't go south anymore, so then they built these 2 canals to be able to dump that water, which is now polluted. Then once we finish restoration, this is how the restored Everglades would look like.
Every year, the Everglades Foundation makes sure that the U.S. and Florida Congress allocates funding so that the projects to restore the Everglades continue being built.
And really, the future of South Florida depends on Everglades restoration. If we don't get this done, we cannot continue to grow in Miami-Dade County in the pace that we're growing.
With the long process ahead, the foundation is aiming to finish the majority of the restoration by the year 2030.
The Everglades Foundation has provided millions with drinking water security and will continue with its efforts. To learn more, visit evergladesfoundation.org. For Caplin News, I'm Sofia Bolivar.
There is a holiday theme park already bringing Christmas spirit to South Florida. Caplin's Hannah Spence has more on its opening season and some of the challenges it has encountered along the way.
We're at Santa's Enchanted Forest, an amusement park that has been a holiday tradition for many Florida families for the past 40 years. However, it's not all holly and jolly this year. Although the county denies the accusations, not everyone is in agreement.
I mean, I don't know, it just feels better. I can't tell why, but it is really nice that it's the 40th anniversary, and I just feel like the rides have definitely improved a bit this year.
The problem started when Santa's Enchanted Forest's lease ended a few years ago. However, it seems to have come to a head when Christmas Wonderland seemed to be getting preferential treatment.
We've been here last year in the previous location. This one seems a little quieter, less people, more food choices. We kind of like the last location better. I felt like they had more stuff for all the kids, which is what I have. Yeah, the little ones are having fun.
It all depends on the people. I feel like this is a bigger space, for a bigger audience, a bigger crowd. I felt like the last location, meaning Tropical, the original location, was a little bit too overcrowded. If anybody knows it or remembers it, there was a lot of over parking, people parking outside of the park and stuff, a lot of theft in the parking lot and stuff like that. I believe like this is a more secure area. There's a lot more police around. It's just a safer environment for the family.
Santa's Enchanted Forest is obviously upset about the location change, but will it really cost them anything?
The drive here wasn't as bad. It was a little bit easier getting here versus last time. Parking was pretty the same, but it was pretty interesting, like being more out west this time around.
Regardless of the outcome of the lawsuit, it looks like Santa's Enchanted Forest will have another successful season. Wishing you happy holidays. I'm Hannah Spence with Caplin News.
The creators of #5WomenArtists, a hashtag challenging social media users to name 5 women artists, happen to be not a who, but a what. A museum in the heart of DC, and Caplin's Hawa Izel saw it for herself.
After 2 years of renovations, the National Museum of Women in the Arts is back and better than ever, featuring 2,500 more square feet than before. Originally opened in 1987, the museum, locally named Nimwa, was the first of its kind in the world, a space dedicated to preserving and promoting the work of women artists. In 2021, the museum underwent a $67.5 million makeover that Nimwa unveiled this October.
I'm deeply honored to be here today to celebrate a meeting that celebrates the power of women telling their own stories and women telling the stories of the world around them.
Not only are the galleries riveting, but the location itself is a spectacle of irony.
Many of you know that this stunning 1908 classic revival building was originally a Masonic temple and ironically off limits to women.
This museum stands among the greats in championing women in the arts and honoring the legacies of many women who were never recognized in their own time.
According to the Public Library of Science's recent study, the permanent collections of 18 prominent art museums in the U.S. were 87% works completed by men. Still being the only museum of its kind in the United States, Nimwa sets out to change those numbers. The mission of the museum remains the same as it did 36 years ago upon opening, to bring attention to female artists who otherwise wouldn't be showcased. In Washington, D.C., I'm Hawa Izel.
Across the United States, Americans celebrated and honored veterans who fought for the country over the weekend, one of which our Caplin News reporter Daniela Toki attended. Here's more on the heroic parade from Ocean Drive.
Miami Beach is commemorating its veterans by holding its 15th annual parade to honor those who have served for our country.
One of the things that for myself, at least when I speak for myself as a veteran, I feel like it's one of those days that it's there for everybody to realize that there were people out there who sacrificed a lot for the country that they live in. And we all come together on this day, veterans and people included, to actually just realize that sacrifice and honor it.
Well, for me, Veterans Day is a day to show gratefulness to all the service members that have served this country in different military branches, and most important, it's also a day to remember those that gave the last sacrifice in order to serve this country.
Thousands of people joined the beach for Veterans Day festivities and to celebrate veterans for their service. In Miami Beach, for Caplin News, I'm Daniela Toki.
The Heat and the Panthers end their sports weekend strong.
That's still ahead, and so is the story.
Finally getting some country music.
South Florida
down
brings
here
their
at the Miami
cowboy
Marina.
boots to the stage. South Florida brings their cowboy boots to the stage. Newsbreak will be back in 2 minutes.
Severe weather can strike anytime, anywhere, but there's a simple way to stay safe. Hey, Jim Cantore here. I stay safe in dangerous weather by planning ahead. You can stay safe too with a few easy steps. Build an inexpensive kit with supplies for your family's needs. Write down important information like phone numbers and medications. Always talk with your family and remember any pets in your planning. Be ready, be safe. Start your plan today at ready.gov/plan.
I don't know why you're so sad. You've got a roof over your head.
You gotta stop with that depressing stuff. That's what white people think. You alright?
It just feels like it's coming from everywhere.
Do you wanna talk about it?
You can talk to me if you're feeling sad.
Whenever you need to talk, I'm here, okay?
If you're buzzed and doing this, to make yourself feel okay to drive, ZWX. You're not okay to drive.
YGKLVW. Regular you.
South Florida jams to country music for its first ever country music festival. It was the Country Bay Music Festival of the weekend at the Miami Marine Stadium.
Caplin News reporter Christina J. Harris saved you a seat.
This weekend, fans are gathering from far and wide to experience the first-year edition of the Country Bay Music Festival.
This two-day festival was filled with a lineup of over 20 world-renowned country artists, plus enjoyable activities such as carnival games, vendors, food, line dancing, and so much more. Country music enthusiasts were truly on cloud nine for all this weekend had to offer.
What I'm most excited about is being a South Florida boy my whole entire life and finally getting some country music down here in the Miami Marina, right next to the Miami Aquarium for 2023.
All right, I know it's lame. The rides are so much fun. It's ridiculous, but like carnival rides, swings, spin around things, all that, games. I love the carnival aspect of it because you're literally having a concert and you have a whole carnival going on at the same time. So it's all going on at once and I love it.
So far, Thomas Rhett was amazing, but we're about to meet Sam Hunt, so super excited.
Yeah, and I have to say the crowd has just been like amazing. Thomas Rhett, I love him, so it was great, and Chris Young yesterday.
And that's a wrap on Miami-Dade's largest music festival. I'm Christina J. Harris, reporting for Caplin News.
The Heat continues its climb back to the top of the Eastern Conference this morning, with the team's win against the Spurs last night being its 5th straight. It was not the hot start they had in Atlanta, as they scored just 15 in the first quarter, but a season-high 26 points from Duncan Robinson, and yet another dominant game from Bam Adebayo would kickstart the comeback. 8 points from Josh Richardson in the final 2 minutes would ice the game. The final score was Heat 118, Spurs 113. The Heat will look to stay undefeated in their current road trip and an in-season tournament play when they face the Hornets on Tuesday night.
In a Sunday afternoon game, the Florida Panthers clawed their way to a win against the Chicago Blackhawks at home. All eyes were on 18-year-old Connor Bedard, the #1 NHL prospect who scored 2 for Chicago. Right wing Sam Reinhart has been electric for the Panthers, scoring 2 goals, racking his season total to 11 goals. He leads the NHL with multiple point games. Although the game kept going back and forth, Panthers' Carter Verhage scored the 4th goal, getting the Cats the win. The final score was Panthers 4, Chicago 3. The Panthers go on the road to play the San Jose Sharks Tuesday, November 14th. And unfortunately, that is all the time we have for Newsbreak. I'm Valentina Gaspari.
And I'm Anthony Cruz. Get more news anytime at caplinnews.fiu.edu.